Welcome to School Matters. I'm Shawn Gilliland. Later in this show, we'll check out creative minds at work at Girls in STEM Day, hear about acts of kindness happening around Henrico County, and find out why no one eats alone at Elko Middle. All that and much more on this week's show. First up, we're off to Kaechele Elementary, where students kicked off American Heart Month by learning how to develop heart-healthy habits.
Does anyone know what the strongest muscle in their body is? Do you know? Your heart. How did you know that? You're so smart. You probably learned it in PE class. Your heart is the strongest muscle in your entire body. So when we talk about taking care of your heart today, that's why it's so important. We want to keep that muscle strong.
For February, it's Heart Health Month. And so every February at Kaechele, we hold a Jump Rope for Heart event, which raises donations for the American Heart Association.
So we develop grants, which is money that funds research. So we give it to really smart scientists and researchers, like my friend here, and they are able to develop and come up with new technology, new surgical procedures, and new medicines for people with sick hearts. Very good. She's come up with a new medicine.
I remember doing the Jump Rope for Heart when I was a kid, but it's changed and evolved so much. So it's not so much about getting the donations anymore as it is about educating the students about how to keep their heart healthy.
Next, we have my favorite, Disco. What was her heart healthy message? Do you know in the green? Eat fruits and vegetables. And we want to eat a variety or different fruits and vegetables because every fruit and vegetable has different vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that are good for our heart. And then last but not least, we got Rocky. What was Rocky's message? Get active. Do you know what that means? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exercise, being physically active. Maybe you like to ride your bike or run around the playground. All of those things are really, really important for taking care of our heart.
They give us different characters that all represent different types of heart healthy things, like drinking lots of water, trying to eat less sodium, making sure that you're exercising 60 minutes a day, and each character kind of emphasizes those different things.
I hope everyone learned a new way to take care of their hearts, and thank you so much for having me at your school today.
I'm going to show her how we say thank you. You ready? 1, 2.
We were doing some individual jump roping and then also some long jump rope group activities. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I like to show the older kids lots of different tricks so that if they're already pretty proficient at jumping rope, they're learning something new.
So the first pattern that we're going to learn is an easy one. This one is the hornet pattern, okay? All the patterns that we have today are jumps of 8.
This week, we are doing some more jumping rope with Chinese jump ropes, which is a completely different type of jumping because there's nothing to spin. It's all about jumping in patterns, and it's really cool because not only can the kids do their patterns or the patterns that I have for them, but they can also create their own patterns later out of recess.
In, out, in, on. Good. 2, 3, 4. In, out, in, on. Got it.
The kids love jump rope. We do this for a good 2-3 weeks usually, and they never get bored. They just keep jumping and getting good exercise, and they love it.
4, in, out, in.
The Coyotes raised over $4,800 for the American Heart Association by participating in the Jump Rope for Heart program. Way to go! We're going to stay at Kaechele Elementary, where students recently celebrated World Read Aloud Day and the start of the Olympics with a special assembly.
Good morning, Coyotes! We are celebrating World Read Aloud Day. And we also are celebrating the Olympics. Are you ready? And we're officially!
Today, we decided to have a World Read Aloud Day here at Kaechele, and it was an opportunity for our kids to think about reading, not just to themselves as they normally do independently, but the act of reading aloud and how important that is and how wonderful that is.
Next to the lake, in a tree up high, a round red apple swings in the sky. Soft as the wind and the tree bends low, the round red apple is all aglow.
Our students have been in their classrooms working with their teachers, having discussions, thinking about some of their all-time favorite read-alouds. And during that time, leading up to this day, they took votes on their very favorite ones. As they selected those, they selected a bronze winner, they selected a silver winner, and a gold winner.
The silver medal, Dog Band 3, Tale of Two Kitties.
We took all of those titles, we put them all together, and we had our students take the time to really thoughtfully consider how they themselves could personally connect to those winners from their classrooms. As we started this event today, we actually had a parade, and the parade started all the way through our hallways. We had the Olympic music going. It was really quite grand. And the students all paraded down and marched down the hallways in their costumes and came into our Olympic Stadium, which of course was our gym, to being greeted by our awesome Deep Run cheerleaders.
Well, thank you today for celebrating with me our gold, silver, and bronze books, and it's a great way for us to kick off reading at Kaechele.
Our hope is that we're going to just instill a love of reading and make our students lifelong readers and learners.
Who in here can tell me something that they remember about Pocahontas? Young man.
Rick Tattenall of Replenish Richmond was at Rolfe Middle School to introduce British actress Yasmin Hassabuh to talk about her starring role as Pocahontas in an upcoming play entitled Gravesend.
It's very rich in history, in Virginian history and in American history, and obviously with English history as well. So Pocahontas, when she married John Rolfe, their union brought peace between the settlers in Jamestown and the Native Americans. And it brought peace for quite a long time, for about 10 years. And that's something that we should all remember, and it's something I think we can portray quite powerfully in theatre. And that's the thing with theatre, is that because it's live, you can kind of immerse yourself in it and you can give historical figures a voice.
Set to premiere in July, Gravesend travels across the pond to the U.S. after its debut in England last year for the Pocahontas 400 celebrations, marking 400 years since the Native American princess visited England. We'll look forward to Yasmin's performance and hope she enjoyed her visit to the Commonwealth and Henrico County schools. Don't go away, because after the break, we'll hear about some acts of kindness that happened at our middle and high schools. Here's another 90-second history report.
Think you know about Christopher Columbus? Yeah. Well, it's time to separate the fact from the myth. His real name? Cristoforo Colombo. That's Italian. Columbus is the English translation. He was not the first European to reach North America. The Vikings traveled to Greenland about 500 years before Columbus, and most people of his day did not believe the world was flat. Actually, Aristotle said the world was round back around 350 BC.
No way.
A lot of those stories came from a book by Washington Irving, the same guy who created Rip Van Winkle and the Headless Horseman. Christopher Columbus really did believe that traveling west would be a shortcut to India, although he didn't know about North and South America in between. After Italy declined on funding his plan, he approached Spanish royals, Ferdinand and Isabella. 3 ships later, the journey began. Over the next 10 years, he traveled to the Bahamas, Cuba, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and parts of South America. He never quite made it to the U.S., but his logs and reports paved the way for future European journeys. In honor of his efforts, Columbus Day is now celebrated in America, Italy, and Spain. So here it is in a nutshell. The world flat, a storybook myth. The shortcut west, that was his. Italy said no. Spain said let's go. He had 3 ships, he kept great notes, never discovered America, but he did find some great vacation spots.
That's Christopher Columbus in 90 seconds. Welcome back to School Matters. Schools throughout the county recently celebrated Kindness Week. Let's take a look.
The Great Kindness Challenge that's offered every January. And a couple of years ago, I started requiring all schools to implement the program.
So what is the opposite of bullying? You probably have some ideas, and you know them here. It's both empathy and it's kindness.
Years ago, we used to do bullying prevention programs that focused on negative behavior. And while those things were helpful, focusing on the negative behavior we found was not helpful for kids.
If everyone in your whole school wanted to be kind every day for 5 minutes, put your 5 hands out again. 5. Let me see it. You ready? 20 million minutes of kindness.
We're celebrating the Great Kindness Challenge here at Virginia Randolph, and so for our challenges, we are doing something every day. And so for Wednesday, we're having our kids from the Virginia Randolph side go over to the Rebec side and read with the kids and have lunch, and the kids seem to really enjoy it.
It's just a matter of like showing them that they have people that care about them and that can just come over and just have fun with them.
Just basically just to communicate with them, just to see how life is, see the next generation growing up, just to give them some advices, tell them how the real world is, just basically just get to know them.
We should do it more often because they seem like they like to have fun, they like to talk to us and stuff, so I just think we should take time to do it so they can have fun.
You're going to have 6 sprinkles. So you're sprinkling the kindness. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be writing the kind things that you do. You're done doing the icing. You can get 6 of these per person. And you'll be able to put your kind things on them.
First response was, this may be like one more thing to do, but as they got to plan the kindness activities and then got to implement them and actually see the kindness spread across the schools, it's been wonderful.
And the kindness didn't stop there. Over at Elko Middle, the Eagles demonstrated their spirit at a special themed lunch.
So on Friday, we are being part of a national movement, doing an activity called No One Eats Alone. And we're actually doing as part of our umbrella program, No Place for Hate. This is our 2nd annual year doing this event, and the kids are super excited. The students will come in and they will receive a sticker, and then they will go to a table that's the color of their sticker, so they won't sit with their usual friends, but they'll sit with new friends, and there'll be conversation cards on the table just to kind of help spark those conversations.
If you could travel to another country, where would you go? London. I'm gonna give you a high five.
We hope that, you know, students will begin to notice that there are other students in the building that they have things in common with and possibly make new friends, but the end goal being that no one will be alone. We do not want social isolation in our school. We want everyone to feel included, and that we have an inclusive community here at Elko.
All right, y'all, have a good day.
What a fantastic way to promote inclusion in our schools. Great job, Eagles. Henrico Schools has a long history of educational excellence and is a great place to work. That was definitely evident at a recent job fair held at Glen Allen High School. Our cameras were there to capture the action of the excited applicants.
We had our teacher hiring event and our bus driver recruiting event. We saw hundreds of interested applicants, as well as some of our internal teachers looking for some face time with our principals. So it was close to 900 people that showed up at Glen Allen High School on Saturday. Our goal is to always have our buildings 100% staffed. There are opportunities for hiring teachers in the middle of the school year. So to be able to have folks that could possibly serve in some of our vacancies now, but also to build that candidate pool for the following year. We were able to also speak with close to 120 interested career switchers who want to join the profession, which is extremely encouraging. I was actually able to offer several early contracts for folks to fill our needs for the fall. So it was very exciting to see folks interested in teaching, but also, more importantly, interested in Henrico County Public Schools.
All in together now, we can make it better now. Come on, can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. We rope it up, cause we know how to jump. We roll it out, cause we know how to skate. We'll cut it down, cause we know what to eat. We'll swap it out, we eat healthy stuff. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. Can we do it?
Just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier. Search We Can to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day.
How well do you know your presidents? Here's a chance to test your knowledge. Can you identify this gentleman? Meet Franklin Pierce, the 14th President of the United States. A hero of the Mexican-American War, Pierce got the Democratic nomination in 1852 and won by a landslide. But after decisions like the Kansas-Nebraska Act, he lost favor with the Democrats and became the only president not to win his party's nomination for a second term. He was the only president from New Hampshire and the first to have a Christmas tree in the White House. Franklin Pierce, two extremes from the popularity pendulum. The former mayor of Richmond was the keynote speaker at Holman Middle School for their Black History Month program.
Well, good morning, and it's my delight to be here and to share with Holman Middle School on this occasion of your celebration of Black History Month. To Dr. Fellows, my fellow Eagles fan, it's good to know that somebody else knows that Eagles fly. I want to just talk a little bit for the few moments that are mine about Black History Month. And I want to just mention that as you look at the audience here today, and as you look at your student body, you see a beautiful canvas or portrait of what America is becoming. America is no longer a monolith. America is no longer one race, but America is becoming a group of persons that come from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different faiths, and different colors. And it's extremely important for us to come together and to show appreciation for the differences that we have in order that we might be able to live in community together. And so I thought that I might just lift for the very few moments that are mine, 3 small stories, vignettes, little known facts about Black history that might bring us to the conclusion that we have a responsibility and an interest in learning about one another. The first is a story about a man named Robert Lumpkin. In the pre-Civil War times, Richmond was a very active slave trading place, one of the most active on the East Coast. And Robert Lumpkin was a slave trader, and he owned a slave jail. It was a slave jail where slaves were put, where they were beat, where they were publicly ostracized, and he was known to be a very mean, evil, and cruel individual. The place that he owned was right there off of Main Street in downtown Richmond, and it became known as the Devil's Half Acre. Well, Robert Lumpkin was a mean, cruel man, but he fell in love with one of the slaves. And he married that slave, and her name was Mary. And after Robert Lumpkin died, there was a strange turn of events, because Mary Lumpkin took that slave jail and sold it to white missionaries who wanted to start a black seminary, a black school for preachers to learn their craft. And so what was the devil's half acre now became God's half acre, because this man had married a slave, and the slave had turned his evil into good. And that half acre turned into what we now call Virginia Union University, which is one of the fine educational enterprises in the city of Richmond.
Thanks for sharing that interesting story about Virginia Union University. We'll hear from the Holman Choral later in the show. Welcome back to School Matters. There's one thing that most students have in common: their love for the weekend. Recently, a group of middle and elementary school girls gave up their Saturday morning to spend the day dabbling in science, technology, engineering, and math. It was Girls in STEM Day, and it was anything but boring.
When Detective Santiago questions Diana, she claims that she is innocent of the dog theft. The little pup put up such a fuss that the kidnapper dropped their bag in the struggle, giving Detective Santiago some evidence to bring to the crime lab.
But did you notice on that one how you could see a pattern kind of like this?
Everyone good on the letter E? Thumbs up if you're good on the letter E. Okay, put that one back and grab the colored fibers. That's gonna be super cool. Yeah, it says colored fibers. Find where the three colors meet, the red, the blue, and the yellow.
And we're going to actually extract some DNA from a strawberry.
It's gonna be a left this time.
A left turn? Okay.
When you start, play.
Just press on.
Whoa.
There you go. Okay, now you need that, right? And then what do you need to do?
Keep straight.
And then when into the blue
And
button.
then jump.
Right here, process keys, this method right here. This is looking at all the keys you're pressing down. So it gave us this error, out of memory error.
You can do the same code, you can do a different code.
A bit outside of it, really.
And now I want you to build on top of your edge circle flat. Good job, good job. I don't care how many you put there, just put flat ones. Get it in there, is it gonna stay? I think you got it. Looking good.
Wait, should we cut this into like, we need more support hands. Other real bridge and a hole like this.
There you go, my dear.
Yeah. I added another paper clip. I made it. I made it.
This was the second year of the program, and based on the enthusiastic feedback, it looks like it'll be back for many years to come. We're going to close the show back at Holman Middle with a selection from the Holman Choral students singing Plenty Good Room. You can catch the entire Black History Month program on HCPS TV. For School Matters, I'm Shawn Gilliland. Thanks for watching.